As per usual, this is Uhambo Lwami, where we take a journey and visit a healer, profiling what they do, but most importantly, unearthing antiquated secrets, and in doing so, ensuring that we uphold the dignity, the truth, the essence, as well as the true meaning of what healing is and what it's about. Today we are hosting Gogo Nomangungu, but we're not hosting her in essence. She is hosting us. And we try to travel, but in our travel also, we try to get to understand the ambience of the area and then look into what it is that she does, how she does it, and why she chose the path that she follows. As you may know, there are different variants or types or even gifts that one receives from the ancestors, right? But our focus today is going to be looking at Ukufemba, but without wasting so much of your time, allow me to introduce Gogo, but most importantly, give a space to also tell us who she is, what path she's pursuing, and how did she discover who she is.
Thokozani Makaya, Nyathokoza Kulu Gogo Pharaoh. My name is Gogo Nomangungu. And for those who don't know, Ingungu means an African friction drum, which I was named after. I am Ukufemba, which is a pure mediumistic traditional health practitioner in South Africa and in Africa at large, because that's what Ukufemba is. We range from Southern Africa to up to the Northern East African regions. I'm the founder and the head medium at Sangoma Diaries Institute. Now, Sangoma Diaries Institute is an organization that promotes African heritage, African spirituality, and African indigenous arts as a way to enshrine social cohesion and cultural diversity in South Africa, and also health diversity in South Africa. I am a member of, my organization is a member of UNUPATA, which is the National Unitary Professional Association of South African Traditional Health Practitioners. I happen to be in the Secretariat Office of UNUPATA, and by virtue of the leader of UNUPATA, Ubabundugu, being the Traditional Health Practitioners sector leader in South Africa, I sit in that office also as the Secretariat of the Traditional Health Practitioners sector in South Africa. So ngihlale office that assists in shaping up abelaphi currently in South Africa, working with the Department of Health and all other allied stakeholders. I'm also a musician, a poet, a published writer, but most importantly, for today's purposes, I am Ukufemba.
Ngiyathanda masuku esikhuluma ngokwelapha ngoba kaningi siyasizwe ama-spirits ahlukahlukene, right? Omunye athi nginomnguni, nginomndawo, nginomndiki, kanjalo kanjalo. Uma ukhuluma ngomfembi, uma uzobeka kuma-spirits, singathi uqhamuka kumaphi, mhlawumbe usinike ne-background encane ukuthi how did this come about?
Okay, Thokoza Gogo. Ukufemba, contrary to popular belief, Ukufemba is not just a healer that is rooted in the Isindawe, or what I call the Sandawe people lineage of healing. Ukufemba basically means a pure mediumistic healer. There are different types of healers across board in Africa. There are what you call clairvoyants, izangoma, sign readers, the people who throw the bones and read signs, and a person's entire life constellation will be read in the bones, right? Because for some reason for them, the dots where their bones land, they can just connect and make a story and pick, and energy is picked up through the forward thrust of a particular guide to tell them what the signs mean. Okay, there is Anusi, future forecasters, etc. They are all herbalists. Ukufemba simply means someone who's pure mediumistic, who interacts holistically with spirits. Now, a lot of people only know one sect of Ukufemba, which is the exorcism part of it.
Yes.
Kandi Ukufemba is divided into two parts. There is Ukufemba, a bad energy, a bad entity, or a bad spirit, which is what you call exorcism, ukhipha umoya omubi. And there is also Ukufemba, ukhuphula umoya, where now you deal with good spirits who might have a story that they need to relay, you know, and transmit and channel to their loved ones who are perhaps coming for a consult. And even Ukufemba is not only limited to the consultation space. I can be sitting here with you now, and I can be picking up a spirit of a friend of yours that you met 2 years ago, and I'll be telling you, on this day you met Usbanban, their guide is here now. I need you to call them now because their spirit is here and they need to talk to them, to communicate. So you channel. Now, Abafembi, I would call them fire workers. And this is how I explain to my patients. I'm a fire worker because I deal with the soul. What is the soul? The soul is an energy.
Yes.
We know when we die, we don't die in Africa, we transcend. And if you understand science, you will know that because the soul is an energy, it can never be undone. Energy is always transformed to another form of energy. So when you die, you transform into the spirit, you transcend to that realm. Now, when I say fire, we deal with the energy of umuntu still in its active form, because we believe is here with me now. That is when we femba umoya. When we femba and exorcise a bad entity, we use the fire on our hands to touch, you know, to exorcise the spirit out. So that's how you can understand Ukufemba. The word femba comes from the Swahili word, it's a Swahili word meaning the wand.
Yes.
A lot of people, when they talk about or understand Ukufemba, they think you just always sit with this wand and you exorcise out the spirit. But Ifembo also means to smell. In Shona, to femba, and even the medication fembo means a smelling medication that allows the healer who possesses that gift to be able to smell news from very far back in time. Hence why a lot of people say Ukufemba for them might be the most reliable form of healing to source very ancient knowledge that a family needs to solve whatever current, present, and possibly future problems they might experience.
Correct. And we energy doesn't die, right? It multiplies. Mangitshela abantu ngithi abelaphi are entities or they are conduits of reincarnation.
Yes.
Meaning we reincarnate, and umuntu mayisengenile kuwena abanye baze bathi it means your life is now curtailed. Awusenayo freedom. How do you entertain that conversation about uma umelaphi, you no longer live your own life, meaning your free agency or will is taken away from you?
But that goes for each and every individual in the earth.
Yes.
Look, you have blood in you that runs through your veins every day. Where did you get that blood from? Forebears, you know? So by your blood merely being active and running through you right now, you carry the history of your people. You carry the memory of your people. Igazi, amanzi, it is water, and people don't know that in the water is memory. That's why even in the processes of Intwaso, it's very integral for an initiate, for a training mage to go into the water, because you invoke a particular memory from your bloodline, you know, to kind of now inherit that gift. So, wonke umuntu is a conduit for abantu bakubo asebalala. The difference with healers is that we are born with a particular vibration in us that is different from the normal person ongeyena umulapi. So what I'm saying is that there is no way you can be a healer, even worse umfembi, and not be a vessel for other people, other spirits, and other particular points in time, you know, being rebirthed through you. Being umfembi is one of the oldest healing methods Africa has used to fix societal problems, to fix physiological, anatomic ailments, and aligning energies. So you can imagine now, if ngifemba, and the spirit that comes through is a pygmy from Central Africa who lived in the 1700s, you know. At that moment in time, I cease to be myself and I embody the life, the mannerisms, the behaviors, alo muntu, so that also the person who's coming to consult, they can recognize, this is Ugogo's mama. She used to do this, you know. Ukufemba is interesting in that sense because you cease to be you, and you cease to have control and have free will. That's why even I remember when I started working, I had a very peculiar problem of just mentioning people's names. A consultee will come in and spirits will take over, and I'll be told when I'm done with, hey, you said Usbanban Wakasbanban said A, B, and C yesterday to this person, and this person asked, but where was Ugogo at that point? I don't understand. It's because you are not yourself at that time. So there's no element of free will. There's not even a control in how deep the healing method can go, because Ukufemba, even the healing modalities that you choose to employ are not yours. What do I mean? To give an example, I was visited by a man from Netherlands who had cancer. And it turned out that cancer had been in the bloodline yakubo for the longest time. But an old woman in his family had ikhambi cancer, unbeknown to this patient. So at that time during Ukufemba process, the guide who was speaking was able to tell this man, look, you have traveled all the way from Netherlands. Ikhambi lokwelapha is in your backyard. Go and look for this particular plant. It looks like A, B, C, and D. You mix it with this. You know, mina ngumZulu. And I have Swati blood, and I have Igaz Lamabun, because my mom is a Vandermeer. There's no way I could have known what medicine could heal him at that time. But because this guide had taken over, the healing modality became specifically of that family's. Meaning, Mfembi, ayikho lento yokuthi you subscribe to the nguni method of healing, to the ndawe method of healing. You know?
You may summon the energy yaleyo ndawo to enhance or augment okwenzayo. But it doesn't mean you need to be restricted within ama-passageways abo. Ngicela sibuye kancane kule nto ngoba you have a very unique story. Abanye of the view ukuthi umelaphi uma uthwasile. Right? And efanele uzube nokugobela okuthwasisayo in a physical sense. Your story is quite unique in the sense that awuzange uthwasiswe umuntu but uyelapha still. Uthini kulabantu who sometimes discredit umuntu othwaswe either ngamaphupho noma energies possessed them, and then their life became that of the energy or the forebear efuna ukuphasa ikhuluma isebenze through yena.
It's a very interesting conversation, isn't it? We have to return to the genesis of what ukutwasa means. Ukutwasa basically means learning, relearning, unlearning, and assuming a new position spiritually within you, balancing the mental, the physical, and the spiritual, what I call the human trinity. And also aligning your human trinity with that of your forebears, your healers passed from your family, right? Now, for example, with me, Ukufemba, even though I was born with a vibration, but my story is different because I had to travel to Kenya. The great powers that be maneuvered and orchestrated such that I was headhunted to go and learn in Kenya. And what that basically means is I met my guide when I was there displaced in the foreign lands, who then began to guide and direct me. Wake up this morning, siyahamba, we're going to Naivasha namhlanje. Uzongena la, uhlambe lan. We are going to Watamu, board a plane. I don't care what happens to you. You need to find the Gedi ruins where you need to go pray. You need to go do this. So that's how I trained. That is a very legitimate method, and for me, a very organic and much more preferable method for me, because there is no space for interpretation of ugobela, of what must happen to you, you know, because they are not of your bloodline. But I equally understand the system of initiation where itwasana, a mage, is admitted into iskodo. Even with me, when I came back from Kenya, I was young. I was, I think 25 or 27. I was still young. I needed now to learn with this gift that I have, how how does it pan out in the social, spiritual space in which I am in? So when I came back, my guides told me specifically, look, we have trained you, we have done everything. However, you live in a time and place where to legitimize who you are, udinga a certificate.
Yeah.
That's how I ended up going into isigodlo of ubaba umkhize, whom I didn't even stay at Scotland. I went for 6 Saturdays.
Yeah.
And the miracles that happened in those 6 Saturdays in Hamba, he even opened up around which was never used and said, you know, Mtanam, I don't know what to let like I lenti when around your work, because there is something about you. And he told me he was told 20 years ago, Ukufemba, uyovula lendlu asebenze, you know. So I had now in that space of isigodlo to learn ukuthi bekhunywa ngesigodlo yini isigodlo. I have the gift, but I don't have the nuanced understanding of the operations now within which the gift is going to work. That's where Ogobela come in. My only reservation is this. Oftentimes, because now we live in a very systematic world that wants to dictate the paradigms, the parameters.
And impose systems.
Yes, systems as to how Itwasa must operate and work, you know. Reservations sometimes that process will taint the naturalized vibration yomntwana, you know.
Yes.
Yet we now live in a world where if they come into this room, okay, there are people who need amagobongo because if you look at the history where we come from, apartheid and the lag in time where when our fathers and grandfathers couldn't perform ancestral rites, couldn't do rites of passages for umntwana or the woman to undergo umhlonyane or memulo wakhe. So there was a lag in time where rituals were not done We had izimpi zasesandlwane zasencome zakuphi where our warriors, our fathers and uncles and brothers died in the great outskirts out there in the wars, blood spilling everywhere. So now in post-apartheid South Africa, when now Africans have had time to come and settle the dust, and now we are getting back into the natural vibration of our Africanness, and we're defining our identity, and we're returning, you know, to Kemet, we're returning to Kush and all that, what it means to each and every one of us to be African. Now they are saying, hey, look, you had your fights with Abelungu, we don't care. We continue where we left off. Like umntwana must be, this and this must be done for them. Something ekhaya. They go to you, Gog. Ufika when umntwana uthini? Ha, lo, angimudlisa amagobong.
Yeah.
After magobong, useya twice. For everyone, how is that possible? So I think my reservation is that healers, we still need a different type of healer that is able to identify the possessing spirits. What possessing spirit is troubling a child? What are they lamenting about? What needs to be fixed and balanced? And then we release the child into the world and they go live their life. Appeal.
Sure. I just want to cite one example. My 13-year-old daughter, right, as far back as when in her 9 schooling, she had incidents, right, schooling. So what would happen again? I'll just be brief. So schooling, uhleli phansi, out of the blue, she blacks out, seated in a very position engine. Athi umuntu omdala kuyena vala amehlo sifuna ukukhuluma nawe. Athi umntana sifuna ukukhuluma nami nobani nini. Athi umuntu omdala kune message sifuna ukunika yona but asikwazi ukukhuluma ngoba usitabo nofana nobaba wakho. Ithi ngane ngisesikoleni kuthiwa sesifikile. So fine, they take over her and then she's conversing nabantu eklasini whilst the teacher is teaching. Fortunately, the teacher understood what was happening. So yamhlupha lento umntana to a point where at some point wayengayi esikoleni for about 2 weeks, right? Ekhaya bakwazi ukumsupporta ngoba ba Christocentric. Ubaba is not in her life, right? So angikwazi ukintervene and say no, inkinga kanje. So fast forward to now, una 13 manje, unomoya Ukufemba. Usetshela ukuthi mina 15 fanele ngenzele lokho, 18 lokho, 21 uyathwasa, right? And asebemtshela ukuthi uzobona ngani mase kufanele ukuthwasa. Uzophupha nenyoka esilva emgaqa umqala, aphuphe egqoka ijazi imbala ethize, uthi kunento special engizomnika yona, confirming ukuthi it's time. And uma sengifemba ngoba nami ngiyindawo ngithi naye uzobe femba eduze kwami, but that would be an indirect initiation yakhe kahle to take over something. So ngifuna ukubuyela kule nto gogo yokuthi again we stress lento yokuthi there must be a guide, but uma abantu abadala sebekwenzelile, how accommodating is the society? Maybe you can cite your own example. Kumuntu onale unique gift, and I'm sure it comes with its own risks and pluses, right? It
comes with a lot of risks because Ukufemba, according to my history and what I have researched as well from people abafana nami,
yes,
as few as they are, but I've been lucky to meet abantu abafana nami through my travels in the different countries in Africa, and also in South Africa, and also ngokwenkonzo, because Ukufemba is a very ancient thing even in South Africa. Kuneyinkonzo ezifana amazayoni, kuneyinkonzo ezifana nama Nazaretha,
yes,
ziningi ezinalo moya lo, you know. So our risks are high simply because people don't understand. You see, with your child, you've eliminated the element of risk already because you have already an understanding as a healer and an in-depth knowledge because we are super to learn about Ukufemba because of your Sandawe tribe history in your family.
Yes, yes.
Also, Ukufemba is very intricate because people think it's only about ukuphakama komoya, waboka muntu axoxe ukuthi ngizela ukuthi nokuthi nokuthi. No, it's not only about that. Ukufemba starts at a very young age, and very coincidental, I also started at the age of 9.
Yes, yes.
I find that to be a very bizarre coincidence with your daughter. At the age of 9, I remember I was speaking to my dad, Sisekishini, and I can't remember what had troubled him. I remember looking, my dad and I are very close even now, looking into his eyes and feeling the pain of what he was feeling. And the moment I felt that pain and connected, something happened to me. It was as if through his eyes, I was transported back to a time when I was born. You will not believe this. Through him, I was able to travel, time travel. That's what Abafembi also are. You are a time traveler.
True.
You are a time bender. That's a very abstract scientific concept, but you are a time bender.
Yeah.
You totally dismantle what we call the time-space continuum, you know, to be able to access a particular point in time. So that's at that level of Ukufemba that I'm telling you about. Ukufembi sif, Ukufembu moya, and time bending. So I was able to tell my dad, Uguti, how? Why didn't you tell me I was born under the table ekai? And my dad, in that moment of his sadness and whatever he was going through, he was like, huh, come again? How do you know this? I'm like, Mom, I remember you carried me into the hospital already, Sengzelwe. And my mom was following in a stretcher. So why didn't you tell me? And my dad was just shocked. That is also Ukufemba.
Yes.
So now you can imagine, we have scientists, we have pharmacologists, we have doctors who subscribe to a very fixed linear process of training to heal, and society who is taught Uguti, you grow, this and this and this happens to you, these are the stages of life, these are the stages of your memory, it is linear. For me, time is not linear, it is circle.
Yes.
Because I can stand in one particular point and connect so many dots in the history of a person or of mankind. So how do people accept this? How does a scientist who's sitting at MIT and Harvard understand Nomangungu ohleli in KZN, who was able to tell a patient who came here, Uguti, 8 years ago, your grandmother witnessed the death of a child who was poisoned by umna waboka mawakhe la eshadele khona. So the spirit that is sitting in your child, loyiletile, as you complain it iyahlupa, is the spirit of that grandmother because wayicupha wayifaka la.
Yeah.
How do you explain that? And that's a true story, by the way.
No, it's quite interesting when you seated with healers, right, who understand the intricacies of the healing fraternity. But not only that, ngoba isithombe abantu abaningi abanaso ukuthi uma umelaphi fanele kungcole, fanele kunukwe kabi. You know, akufanele kufundiseke. Like, you know, when we sit namanye ama healers and we start speaking about anatomy, speaking about the biosphere, about ionosphere, how does it converge to make sure that the healing process becomes so unique and it connects you directly with the cosmos. Abanye bazothi, "Hayi, ngicabanga ukuthi ufunde kakhulu na." Ngicela usicacisele ukuthi how important is it? Ngoba sometimes you did allude to the fact yokuthi we sometimes need to look at policies that came to being the Suppression of Witchcraft Act.
Yes.
Which set the tone for the persecution sibonayo. Sometimes maybe the misinterpretation futhi. Ngokubona kwakho kubaleka kangakanani ukuthi uma umelaphi ube ne mind engathi ivulekile kancane.
It's mission critical for our times if we want to still keep the relevance of what we do, but also to equally validate it in a time where the systems in which we live are oppressive to traditional African spirituality and do not wish for us to thrive, because we are in direct contention with the big pharmas and with the Western medical and biomedical pharmaceutical space, you know. But to respond to your question, it can be on two levels. Number one, to understand, umqondo wethu lo, we are all connected. You, I, and whoever else is in this yard right now, by merely all of us being here right now, we will forever be connected by one point in time. So, ilento le abathi abantu abafundile nabazi sciences and spiritual dogma, they will tell you ukuthi the universe is in each and every one of us. If you are a healer, that's the first and foremost thing you must understand. You are fire, you have a soul. You are water, you have igazi namanzi, your lymphatic system nanani. You are earth, you have matter, ubumba lolo bumbe ngayo. You are earth, you are fire, you are water, you are heart, you are izwa leon. There are stars la ekhanda lakho. Mengithi universe, we are in your mind. There are neurological points ahlanganaya connectayo. What is that? That is the stars, the cosmos. The vastness of information out there that is seated for all of time for someone to access at whatever particular point abayifunayo. So mongumelaphi, you must be able to let go of yourself and transcend and try at all times to reach that space. La atomunye umngani wami oyibiza lento wathi ungomanye. What's the universe? We are speaking in one voice, in one language at all times. If you are able to transcend and understand those things, then ukwelapha you understand ukuthi kahle kahle kuyona lento abantu abayicabanga ukuthi kuyiyona. The physiological ailments siyakwazi ukudila nomuthi, kodwa the spiritual is the most fascinating and the most deep and vast, you know. Okwesibili, uma umelaphi kubalulekile uku-understand ukuthi sometimes nawe indlela oyiphatha ngayo is detrimental to the cause yabelaphi.
Yes, true.
You are talking about laws and policies in the country that are not allowing us to thrive. Even us, we must clean up our own act. Our industry is sick. Healers are very sick people. Excuse the language, but siyagula. Sigula kanjani gogo? Uyafika la mntwana kwenu uzothi uzolashwa. Wena mengena nje sicabheni ngicabanga ukuthi amagobo ngami u10,000 awungadla mina.
Yes, pula ngidlala.
You know? Hey, meqeda kumagobo ngami mina ukuthwasa kwami ku100,000. Hayibo. Kanjani, you know? Yet when someone comes kumina with a spiritual gift and I recognize with lo mntwana there is something deeply spiritual ngayo, what can I do? I'm able to tell them, look, I'm going to help you. I want nothing from you. That day, when umoya sewehle kahle sewusebenza in your home, in the comfort of your home, and usuzakhilela inkomo zakho, uyobuya ungilethele inkomo ehambayo. That's how I work. So now you can see now the dichotomy and the polarization of what we do even in the industry ourselves. The polarization, yongafani komsebenzi wethu ukona kushayayo. So healers, we must learn to calm down and accept it. There must be a standardization of the work that we do. In what faculty of work have you ever heard ukuthi kungabi khona i-cap la kuthiwa i-tuition yokuthwasa this year u20,000 asikho isikole esizoba more than 20,000 because now ama-industry leaders would have sat down and said hayi ukuthwasa udinga ukuhamba lokuqala nosibili nani, and they would know and give a costing to that. What makes abelaphi say no, but mina udlozi lami uthi
ufuna imali engaka?
There is no justification for that. Umoya uwodwa. It's a universe. We all use and tap into the same universal spirit, and we tap into the imoya yayibongo. We tap into the natural spirits omlenze munye. Umoya kaNomkhubulwane wokudala okutshala ukudla, umoya okhulisa ingane onomoya nani. What makes your moya very different to lo waka Gogo next door, and why should you charge people millions for ubulawo bodwe sibakhaya? Angazi noma mkhulu igogo bayangizwa yini abantu mengisho.
I hope balalele. Ngoba we took a trip saya eShakaskral siyokhuluma nomunye umkhulu amampondo lawa enza usiko lokwelapha ekuthiwa ukuqubula.
Yes.
Right? So masikhuluma naye uthi at some point wake wahlanganyelwa izangoma nezinyanga bathi indlela ocharge ngayo is way too low. Siqhatha nama patient.
I've been told that.
Like uyasiqhatha. Why can't you charge the same money that we charge ukuze bezobona ukuthi lento esayithwasela ngempela fanele sidle ngayo? Uthi yena when I was given this gift it came with very strict conditions. Kwathiwa ngisho umuntu enganalutho mulaphe.
Yes.
Your only role as a healer is to heal. Whether ucebile akacebile ungamsize umuntu. According to imoto driver impahla igqokile the way they look. Bheka umoya ophakathi kuyena.
Yes.
Ulungise into edinga umoya. Not indlala yami, not into engicabanga ukuthi isidingo. Do you know Gogo ngisalapho khona umuntu owake wathwasiswa waspenda 3 years ehlule ukuhlanganisa imali yokuphothula. Ugobele ecela smart screen TV, I think it was 50 inches. Wacela smartphone, wacela nazo zonke izinto ongayicabanga.
From ibizo lezi ezibizwayo.
Yes. And I always ask abantu ukuthi if sizoyijwayeza, you were right in saying ithina esingcolisa ubizo nendlela yokwenza. Ngoba even at the policy level, the prescriptions azofika will be based on observations. Not because they would have sat down with ama healers and understand ukuthi uma sila we part and parcel of the entire medicinal fraternity, right?
Yes.
But in that being the case, nathi we need to state our cause and claim our space by knowing indawo yethu and doing izinto ngendlela. Ngicela sibuyele kancane kulento le yemthetho ukuthi how accommodating is the legal framework of South Africa in regards to ukwelapha noma abelaphi.
Okay. Before I perhaps go to the legal framework and the policy framework that is counteractive to African spirituality and African spiritual healing, lendo isholo nalomkhulu or ugogo who mentioned it in the Eastern Cape, I am very thankful for.
Yeah.
Because if you are a true healer who's been granted ungenwe uphiwe umoya ohlanzekile, one true moya which governs abelapha ngokweqiniso, you are given rules.
Yes.
There is a spiritual regulation even before we come to the policy regulation that we are trying now to instill in the country through the office in which I work. But I mean, when I started my journey, I was given regulations. Uguti, you will never charge people ridiculous amounts. When a person comes to your consultation rooms and they are direly poor, you will not take a cent from them. They will only come and give you whatever they want when their life has now, opened up and improved. I was even told, ukuthi, labantu abamoya, the majors, amatwasa who come to you, you have no right to ask for zonke lezibis. I don't ask ibizo mkhulu. When ngisize umuntu and now it's time for them to go home, they give me a blanket if they want to.
Yeah.
They give me whatever, Omunye ubuyile wazongibuyisela inkomo because esesebenza sebona ukuthi oh my God, ugogo helped me. Let me go give thanks. So I was told ukuthi uyobongwa ngo thank you.
Yes.
Okwesibili, la I was told ukuthi where you will make your money. You are intellectual, you are clever, you have qualifications in school, media, communications, project management, you will make your money in media, telling the African spirituality story, of which now those things are starting to happen as I begin to infiltrate the heritage space, being helped by the generosity of abantu abafana nobaba uMbuso Khoza abangisizayo, also in music abantu abafana nobaba uMzilikazi kaAfrica who are helping me, and now things are starting to open up. So regulations you are given, it is you who contravenes the rules. Even yabantu bakini mgogo moqala ukusebenza bakutshela ukuthi ithwasa mhlambe alizufaka bhayi elizokhonjwa wena because akulonela kini. Do you understand? Again, boarding school. This is not a Eurocentric institution where we must all be in uniform like cogs in a machine. No, we have a distinct spiritual DNA to each and every one of us that must thrive and shine, and the energy must rise ngayo. Uma ngabe mina ngifake lo buhlali bami kanje ngithanda, gogo wayezithanda. Mengifake uMnazaretha kanje ngoba ngiyafemba. Uyayizwa leyo nto? Isithunywa sami safika kanjani? Ngelinye ilanga uzofica la ngifake ibheshu mengithanda. Ufike lelo khehle lingaqoki. Uyayibona? And the ridiculousness that is in stereotypes attached to people like us. Athi umuntu mehlangane nawe edrobheni, hawu, oh gogo nomkhulu sebafaka ikhindi engaka mebekubona ebeach. Ugogo usafaka ibikini. I want to go to the beach and swim like everyone because I'm still a normal human being. You know what I mean? The regulations that are there to govern my spiritual trade, but I am equally a normal person like anyone else. Okwesibili, when it comes to regulation, now the policies and laws and bills are corner in the country are very they're detrimental, man, to the African spirituality cause. Imithetho ayi kade sikhuluma nge Witchcraft Act.
Yes.
And sikhuluma nge Witchcraft Act. Last week we're interrogating the Act 22 of 2007 that regulates abelaphi bendabuko. When we scrutinized lo mthetho, sitheme sibuka manje office sathi ngeke. Yeah, traditional healers were part of drafting lo mthetho. Kodwa by now improving, because it was a evolution, it's grow and we evolve and we see better every day. We're like, sikwaze ngowethu umkhonto la kunezinto eyishodayo. For example, umthandazo akekho recognized in South Africa right now because they are not as part of uhla lwabelaphi bendabuko who are listed on that act. We need to rectify that. Isanusi asiveli lapho. Hence why people like Obabu Credo Mutwa, bless his soul, died, and excuse the language, but as poor men. Because no one was looking into them as professionals in that space. Ngisanusi professional. How can I begin charging for? But
David Icke benefited out of
have written books about him. You know what I mean? So, imithetho need to be redressed. Last week, I was called by a healer in Greytown who couldn't access umfula to go and do a particular cleansing for a family. But I say nakaya, meaning you, because we have spiritual pockets where we cleanse people, but because municipal manager for some reason decided this is our space as municipality, you as healers can't access an African post-apartheid, African-led society where you have a leader in the society telling a traditional healer you can't access amanzi.
Wow.
Are you understanding the deeper context of the trouble we are in?
Yeah. You remind me of the instances where during COVID, some of us did attempt to speak with the allopathic practitioners, right?
Yes.
And we were stonewalled. Moreover, have access to it, or you are seen transporting it anywhere, we are boshwa. And you ask yourself, which is why COVID Organics yase Madagascar was shut down by World Health Organization. Moreover, you had a belaphi who couldn't, like rightfully saying, and they were not classified as essential workers. Now, you ask yourself, in an African context, in South Africa particularly, where statistics city, over 70% of the population, indigenous populations, right, still consult. But why do you feel there's always this superimposition here, allopathic practitioners, right, over homeopathy, naturopath?
Look, there is an incongruence in our reality as South Africans, irrespective of what faculty of work you belong to. In South Africa, because a German guy came to South Africa and patented isibhakha, quote unquote, discovered.
Wow.
But let's scrutinize the process of discovery now. Big pharma is
true.
What happens is you have these organizations from abroad coming into Africa back in the years when our parents were so unassuming about these white people and what they had come to do in Africa. You know, and sadly some still are, because the broader healing fraternity is uneducated, unfortunately, and we must change that. Right? So if we get a researcher from what university, Gogo, we are PhD students or we are researchers from so-and-so university, we'd like to just talk to you. Gogo sits and divulges all knowledge of Amakambi Ag. Remember, no one at that point in time is talking about a patent. The students and the researchers take that information, they go back to the university, they write, hey, they sell this to Big Pharma. Big Pharma comes back and Big Pharma ulethe a research grant to this university. What are they giving them? Royalties for all of this information that they have collated from the ground from traditional healers, you know. So now, uma sefika lo gogo, the very same gogo who educated these researchers about isbach, akasakwazi ukungena ehlathini ayokho isbach ngoba sesibelonga to some German pharmaceutical that I won't name. Uyayizwa leyo nto leyo? Uyayibona le nto? Who has liaised with all of these pharmaceutical allies, the conglomerates of big pharma organizations acindezela umelaphi. So something must change. Also, because if you look at Western medicine itself, allopathic medicine, I don't know, I don't care what we at what point, pharmacy, homeopathy, yin, all of those medicines are derived from indigenous African herb and bark.
Yes.
Thina siyazi sabantu bempande, singabantu bamakhubalo, singabantu bamahlamvu, bezihlahla, you know, bemicako, natural antibiotics and antioxidants we find in the great vicinity of our environments emakaya like this. Yet, the very system is working against us, Isabella. I think, Mina, what can fix this is the policy redress.
Yes.
Because now we have intellectual traditional healers, asebefundile nkosi yami, and I hope and pray to God who are willing to be not self-serving, but want to rise up and fight for the greater cause of dignifying the sector in which we belong to, and saying, let's open up an African medicine research lab that is going to be run by the sector itself. We have young African children who have done PhDs in science and this and that, who can help with looking at the chemical composition, compound composition of imithi yethu, and assist omakhosi abanamakhambi. You know, we open up like China. We change the medical law
and give people options.
Yes, and give people options. In China, there is a building, when you get there, it's a 4-story building. First layer, Chinese medicine only. Second layer is broader Asian medicine. Third layer is world medicine. Fourth layer is European medicine. You know what I mean? We need now not to arrive to a point where our people, without fear, without persecution, ostracization, are able to openly choose and say, Dogotel, you're admitting me to hospital, uting nani, ngine cancer. Bambelapo Dogotel, ngicela ukufonela inyanga yami wozoliyeza with my doctor, because whatever medical therapy and modalities that are going to be used for me to heal,
yes. Gogo says, Valanje, I want us to highlight, Uguti, we've just recently had a so-called recognition of African Traditional Medicine Week from the 26th, I think, to the 31st, if I'm not mistaken. But we did not see promotion, we didn't see campaigns, we didn't see the Department of Health, who is the custodian of this very week we're speaking about, going out and inviting traditional healers to say, this is your space, this is your time to shine, give us new inventions, what have you done, what are innovations, what do you want to see change by way of policy or practice or behavior, or how we see ourselves and how we interact. What is your key take in how this sector is being intentionally snapped?
I'm glad you said that, intentionally snapped. Look, we came from a meeting 2 weeks ago with the Department of Health nationally with the ministry, and we were talking about our grievances, you know, as the sector office, with the Department of Health in particular, and all of these parastructures that they themselves are building to curb progress, you know, and capacity building in our own sector, and economic transformation and upliftment in our own sector. In a way, I think personally, I kind of concluded with perhaps the department Vele looks at us as a contentious competitor. You know, we are in a contentious space with them.
Very true.
So it's very difficult to expect anything from whatever government department, because if you look at traditional African spirituality and medicine, it's almost as if we have come to take a piece of the pie. Now, what business strategist would want that? You know, I say the onus is on us as the THP office, as individual healers, to take up space and to be involved in the smaller movements that are happening on the ground, at our sector level, at our association levels, because we all belong to associations. And the associations and the sector must rise up to say, look, we need a national convention. where we bring all of these players in the health spectrum, in the medical pharmaceutical spectrum, irrespective of what a cultural approach.
Yes, yes.
It might come from Eurocentric, Afrocentric, Asian, whoever. If you're in South Africa and you are a player in the health system, let's come sit down and talk with traditional healers, where we begin to lay the rules for them, where we begin to tell them this is how we will be treated. This is how our knowledge will be packaged by us, for us. This is how the regulation and policy needs to be redressed.
And the protection of our IP.
Protection of our IP, patents, bioprospecting licenses, you know, to make it easier for traditional healers to get into the economy of medicine, and also to get, even though I don't want to say this, into the economy of spirituality. Pastors are doing it daily in our country, in the backdrop of our operational spaces. Why are we not being allowed to do the same? We exist as spiritual beings, but in the spirituality and the trade of being Ukufemba, I also need to survive with my family. How can I actualize that with the talents and the knowledge that I've been given? Yokwelapha.
Yes. Babukeli, that was Gogo Nomangungu. I'm sure ni suti njengoba nami ngisuti. Angisawazi nokusukuma la esithini. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Besikhuluma ngokufemba noma umfembi. And like I said, Gogo Nomangungu is just going to say bye Nina, and then we officially wrap the episode.
Thokozani Makaya, I hope this episode enlightened our viewers at home about not only Ukufemba, but the broader African spirituality landscape, the troubles that plague us, and I hope Umelaphi in particular at home has been motivated to change their ways and to come to the party as we are building a proper, a strong, strengthened, unified, policy-regulated sector. Asihlale netafuleni sizilungise thina, because no one will. Makhosi.